Open that gate right now, or I'm calling the cops. That's how my morning started at 7 a.m., with Pamela Crestwood, president of the Cedar Ridge Estates HOA, screaming through my own fence, her face almost the same shade of red as her Lexus RX idling behind her. Behind that Lexus was a line of luxury cars, horns blaring, neighbors late for work because I had done the unforgivable. I locked a gate that sits on my land. I took a slow sip of coffee, leaned on the porch rail, and said, "Go ahead. And while you're at it, ask them what trespassing means." For 3 years, I'd put up with this woman. 3 years of fake complaints, snide comments, and her acting like my inherited property was some kind of public roadway she'd bought with her HOA title. What she didn't know was that I, Logan Mercer, 47 years old, divorced, diesel mechanic, barely keeping my life together, had been quietly doing my homework. When Grandma Lillian passed, she left me her 2-acre place out in Broward County. Old 1960s ranch house, leaning a little but still solid, tucked between tall pines, the air thick with the smell of lavender from her garden and diesel from my trucks. To me, it felt like a reset button, a quiet piece of ground where the world finally shut up. What I didn't realize at first was that this little slice of heaven was the choke point for a whole upscale subdivision. Cedar Ridge Estates, 47 oversized houses where the mortgage on one of them probably matched my yearly income. And thanks to a friendly developer back in 1985, their only real access in and out ran straight across 37 feet of my family's land. No formal easement, no recorded right-of-way, just a handshake with my grandmother and a lot of assumptions. In 2019, after vandals trashed her garden shed 3 times, Grandma finally had a gate installed. She gave the code to fire, EMS, and the mail carriers. The gate wasn't about keeping decent people out. It was about shutting trouble out. Then I moved in. And then Pamela Crestwood showed up. Picture a woman in her early 50s with perfect highlights, expensive perfume, and the permanent expression of someone who's never gotten used to hearing no. 6 years as HOA president, no kids, too much time, and a rulebook she treated like scripture. Week 3 of me living there, 7 a.m. sharp. Her heels hammer my porch steps like a woodpecker with anger issues. I open the door, coffee in hand. "That gate," she announces, not asks, announces, "will remain open 24/7 for resident convenience and property values." I explain, calmly, that the gate is on my private property. I show her that emergency services already have the code. Her face shifts from fake sweet to pure acid. "Listen carefully, grease monkey," she says, eyes raking over my oil-stained work shirt. "I don't negotiate with people who don't belong in nice communities. Unlock that gate, or I will bury you in legal fees until you're sleeping in that rust bucket out front." She stomps off. The screen door slams. That night, I pull out Grandma's old file boxes, the ones that still smell faintly like her perfume and cigarette smoke, and I find it. The original survey from the 1960s. The property line is crystal clear. The stretch of road everybody thinks is theirs. It crosses straight through our land. I take it to my lawyer, attorney Claire Donovan, who's sharp enough to cut paper by looking at it. She studies the survey, then grins. "Logan, they've been trespassing for 40 years, she says. "You're not blocking a public road. They're using your property. You could shut that gate tomorrow. As long as emergency services have access, and legally, there's not much they can do." But of course, Pamela isn't the kind of person who backs down. A few days later, anonymous complaints start rolling in. Allegedly illegal commercial vehicle storage, my work trucks in my own driveway. Noise complaints about my diesel engines at 6:30 a.m. An EPA complaint about my compost pile, like I'm running some kind of toxic waste site instead of rotting vegetables. Every letter lands in my trash with a satisfying thud. But they eat up county resources and make one thing obvious. Pamela would gladly burn the neighborhood down rather than admit she's wrong. Then the neighbors start showing up. Helen Park, mid-50s, polite, nervous, brings a container of cookies and a confession. Pamela threatened to fine her $300 because her Christmas lights were still up on January 5th. Darius Cole, a firefighter built like a linebacker but soft-spoken, mentions how Pamela lectured him about his mailbox being the wrong shade of black. They both say the same thing in different words. Cedar Ridge stopped feeling like a neighborhood a long time ago. It feels like a little dictatorship. And that's the moment I realized something. This was never just about a gate. It was about power, who has it, who abuses it, and who finally says, enough. The real war begins when I get a thick, cream-colored envelope from Whitfield and Gray LLP, the kind of law firm whose letterhead smells like money. Inside, 3 pages demanding I grant a permanent easement or pay $50,000 in damages for blocking access. I take it straight to Claire Donovan. She schemes it, snorts. Classic slap. Scare tactic. They're betting you'll fold because you see the fancy logo and the word lawsuit. She taps the paper. We're not playing defense anymore. We're going on offense. She files a quiet title action, asking the court to formally lock in my boundary lines and legally confirm that section of road belongs to me. At the same time, her paralegal, Jess, digs through old Broward County files from 1985. A few days later, Jess calls. You need to come in. Spread across the conference table are the original permits for Cedar Ridge Estates. According to those documents, the developer promised the county all roads would be built entirely on HOA-owned land. No mention of my grandmother's property. No formal easement. Nothing. So they lied, I say. They lied. Claire confirms. Built through your grandmother's land anyway. Never filed for easement rights. Never paid for it. The HOA inherited that problem, whether they know it or not. Meanwhile, Pamela's grip on Cedar Ridge starts slipping. She calls an emergency HOA meeting to slap every household with a $500 legal defense assessment to fight me. According to Helen, that meeting doesn't go the way she expects. Laura Benton, a quiet CPA who mostly keeps to herself, stands up and asks why homeowners are paying for Pamela's personal war. Darius points out that fire and emergency services have never had an issue with my gate. When Pamela starts screaming about traitors, half the room gets up and walks out. I decide it's time to use pressure. I set the gate to close at rush hour only, 7 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 6 p.m. A small, perfectly legal sign goes up. Private property, alternate route via Maple Creek Road. It turns their 12-minute commute into a 35-minute grind. Every morning, I sit on my porch, sipping coffee, watching luxury SUVs and sedans pull up, hesitate, then do awkward 3-point turns. I wave. Some glare. Some look embarrassed. Within a week, 3 families come to me privately, offering monthly road fees if I let them through. $50 a month, says the Henderson family. $75, offer the Patels. Easy money. Would have paid some bills. But I remember what Claire told me during my divorce. Once you create a pattern of commercial use, people start arguing the rules are different. I'm not about to turn my driveway into a toll road. So I say no. Every time. Word spreads that I turned down guaranteed money on principle. And suddenly the story shifts. I'm not the guy trying to extort the neighborhood. I'm the guy trying to draw a line and keep it straight. Then another thread unravels. A contractor named Rafael Vega, owner of Evergreen Grounds and Maintenance, files a mechanic's lien against the HOA for $47,000. He'd done massive storm cleanup for Cedar Ridge the year before, fallen trees, blocked roads, emergency work, and never got paid. Jess pulls HOA budget reports. On paper, the landscaping bills are listed as paid. Raphael sits at my kitchen table, calloused hands around a mug of coffee, explaining how he gave them grace, offered payment plans, even discounts. Pamela ignored it all. I feel my frustration harden into something deeper. This isn't just pettiness anymore. This is people getting crushed financially so she can keep playing queen. Raphael's daughter, Elena Vega, a law student, starts digging into Pamela's history. One afternoon, she looks up from her laptop and says, Mr. Mercer, this isn't her first time. In another state, under another name, Margaret Cresson, she pulled a similar stunt at a place called Silver Creek Meadows. HOA power trips, financial discrepancies, harassment. She was eventually hit with a restraining order by her own board. Before that, court records show a conviction for embezzlement. 18 months served. Name legally changed. New state, same behavior. While we gather evidence, Pamela starts losing her grip on reality in public. 17 Facebook posts in 2 hours. She calls me a terrorist. She calls Helen, Laura, and Darius foreign-funded agitators. She shares screenshots of my property surveys and labels them fake. I screenshot everything. Then it gets criminal. At 2:47 a.m. one morning, my phone starts buzzing. The new gate system detects motion. Cameras record Pamela and her husband, Eric, in hoodies, trying to cut through the gate's control box. Floodlights snap on. They panic, scramble back to their Lexus, and peel out. Later that day, Captain Harris watches the footage in my living room. "This is solid," he says. "We can arrest them right now for attempted property damage, trespassing, conspiracy." I look at the paused frame, Pamela frozen mid-sprint, and shake my head. "Not yet," I tell him. "Let the auction happen first." Because by then, I'd found something else in the county notices. Lot 12A, a 1.2-acre strip containing the main access road into Cedar Ridge, was headed for a tax auction. The previous owner had died. The estate never paid the taxes. Minimum bid, $12,400. For less than the price of a decent used truck, someone could legally buy the road everyone depended on. And I plan to be that someone. Auction day feels like Judgment Day and Black Friday rolled into one. The steps of the Broward County Courthouse crunch under my boots, frost cracking as I climb. I've got my thermos in one hand, paperwork in the other. Claire Donovan is beside me, calm as ever. Local news crews are setting up, including Rachel Myers from Channel 9. Cameras already pointed at the small crowd. And there, clutching a certified check like it's glued to her palm, is Pamela Crestwood, with Eric at her side. She spots me and immediately starts shouting across the plaza. "This is illegal. He's stealing our neighborhood. Somebody stop this man. He's a terrorist." People stare, but not in the way she wants. The auctioneer, Bill Miller, opens his binder. Lot 12A, 1.2-acre access parcel serving Cedar Ridge Estates. Minimum bid $12,400. Do I hear an opening bid? Pamela's hand shoots up. $15,000. I wait a beat. $17,500. She snaps her head toward me. $20,000. $22,500. You can see Eric starting to crack, whispering in her ear, face pale. This is their savings, their last card, up against my slow, patient anger. $25,000, she chokes out. I take a calm sip of coffee. $30,000. Silence. The kind that hums. $30,000 going once, going twice. Gavel slams. Sold to Logan Mercer. Pamela buckles. It's like someone cut her strings. Rachel's camera catches every second of her face collapsing as the reality lands. The grease monkey she tried to bully now owns the road her power depended on. But the real finale comes that night at the Cedar Ridge Community Center. 45 of 47 households show up. The room is packed. Rachel Myers and her crew are there. So is Captain Harris, standing in the back with two detectives. Pamela tries to start the meeting like nothing's wrong, talking about emergency measures to undo the auction. But before she can get momentum, Laura Benton walks up with her laptop and plugs into the projector. "Before we talk about roads," Laura says into the mic, voice steady, "we need to talk about money." Bank statements appear on the screen. Yellow highlights. Red circles. "Over the past 2 years," Laura continues, "we've identified $87,000 in irregular or misrepresented expenses, including conference travel that matches luxury hotel stays, office supplies that match high-end retail purchases, and vendor payments recorded as completed when the vendors were never actually paid." Raphael's lien paperwork appears next to HOA reports claiming his invoices were paid in full. Then Darius takes the mic and walks the room through a pattern of harassment, bogus complaints, threats, false police reports. Finally, Captain Harris steps forward. "We are actively investigating potential embezzlement, fraud, and false reporting," he says. "We also have security footage of an attempted break-in and damage to Mr. Mercer's gate system. That footage, along with multiple complaints and documents, will be part of our case." You can feel the room turn. People look at Pamela with something between anger and disbelief. Helen stands up. "I move that Pamela Crestwood be removed from all HOA positions effective immediately," she says, "and that a temporary board be authorized to negotiate a fair access agreement with Logan." They pass out ballots. Pins scratch quietly. When the count comes back, the vote is almost unanimous. Only Pamela and Eric vote no. Pamela lunges for the mic one more time, ranting about conspiracies and manipulation. This time, Darius just calmly takes the microphone from her. "You've lost the vote," he says. "It's over." I walk up. "Look," I say, "I never wanted to own your road or be on the news. I just wanted to sit on my grandma's porch and drink my coffee without being treated like a criminal on my own land. But now I own the access parcel you all drive on, and we need to decide what happens next. The room goes quiet. So here's what I'm offering. I continue. We sign a proper, legal easement. You get guaranteed, permanent access to cross my land. Fire, police, ambulances, always allowed. In return, each household pays $35 a month into a road maintenance and legal compliance fund. Managed by a professional company, not by me, not by any neighbor with a power complex. The road gets maintained. The law is satisfied. Nobody can pull this stunt again. I pause. Your other option? You try to build a new road completely on HOA land. You fight wetlands, permits, construction costs. Or you do nothing and hope the county never enforces the rules that should have been followed 40 years ago. I'm not here to strangle this place. I'm here to fix a mess I didn't create that landed on my doorstep because someone thought my grandmother's kindness was a blank check. First, it's just a few claps. Then the whole room stands and applauds. People come up afterward to apologize, to say they believed Pamela's stories about me, that they were scared to speak up. Within 2 weeks, the new interim board, led by Helen, signs the easement. It's recorded with the county. I keep ownership of the land. Cedar Ridge gets permanent, legal access. The road is resurfaced. The potholes disappear. A few months later, Pamela and Eric plead guilty to embezzlement, filing false reports, and attempted property damage. She gets 18 months in minimum security and a restitution order. He gets probation and community service. HOA insurance covers a lot of the damage, but her reputation is finished. Under Helen's leadership, the HOA changes its bylaws. Monthly financial reports are mandatory. Board meetings must be recorded and shared. Members must approve any significant spending. Property values actually go up. Real estate agents start telling our story as proof that the neighborhood dealt with its problems instead of burying them. We find extra money in the road fund. Someone asks what we should do with the surplus. I surprise even myself when I say, start a scholarship. Name it after Grandma Lillian. Help local trade school students. Kids who want to learn to fix engines, pipes, roofs, the stuff that actually keeps neighborhoods alive. And just like that, the Lillian Mercer Community Scholarship is born. The first recipient? Elena Vega, studying law with a focus on property rights and conflict resolution, basically dedicating her future to preventing the kind of abuse Pamela perfected. As for me, I still get up early. I still drink my coffee on that same porch. The difference is, now when neighbors drive through the gate that once caused so much drama, they honk and wave instead of glaring. Kids walk along the freshly paved road to the bus stop. People chat at mailboxes instead of whispering. Once a year, the community festival is held on my property by my choice. The theme last year was Property Rights and Community. Boring title. Great barbecue. Real laughter. So that's how a tired diesel mechanic named Logan Mercer ended up buying the road under an entire neighborhood, taking down an HOA tyrant without shouting, and turning a small war over a gate into something bigger. A lesson in where power ends, where rights begin, and what happens when ordinary people finally decide they won't be pushed around. Now it's your turn to think about it. If you were standing at that gate with someone like Pamela Crestwood screaming on the other side, would you fight this hard for your land? Or would you open the gate just to keep the peace? Is it right to let a whole community feel some pain in order to expose one person's corruption? Or do you think there was a better way? Where's the line between justified resistance and becoming the villain in someone else's story?